It's like, I don't know. Drink looks really good. I think the best way to create and then sustain deep conversations and that rapport is not to push, is not to push people into telling me something. When they're ready, they will. And of course, sometimes I have to check myself mentally, like, okay, if I ask a question and it's clear that they're not giving me an authentic, it's a very polished answer, I don't push. It's their choice. And I think that's the thing about creating that space for people, giving them the choice to choose if they want to disclose or if they don't. Yeah, even though I can tell, like, okay, this person is not ready, that's also okay with me. For it to actually go somewhere and to be real, it has to just flow. And so they'll be ready when they're ready. I don't take it personally. It's just how it is sometimes. Just letting out your thoughts, even if there is shame attached to it, there's guilt attached to them. It's such a release to let those thoughts go, to let those perceptions go. This kid is cute. And a lot of people don't know that feeling until they do it, until they let something out, they let a thought out, and it's like, oh wow, that felt good. And so I think there's value in, again, honesty and just being transparent and trusting who you're telling, the other person. And I think it's helpful as a professional. They know that unless they're harming themselves or someone else, I'm not going to tell anybody. And so there's that safety of, okay, this person, I can trust them because we have that rapport, they're professional, they're not judging me. And so there's a lot of value in that safety. Seeing couples and then seeing individuals, couples bring such an intense dynamic to it, but it's also can be really fun. They come in thinking that they need help on this one issue, like communication. And then as they're talking and expressing and like verbalizing things, it's like, oh wait, I have like 4 other issues that I've had for a while, but kind of just chalks it up to communication being the main issue. And so you get into these different pockets of ideas and concerns, and personally for me, for them it's a bit uncomfortable kind of disclosing that in front of their partner because there can be some judgment. But for me, it's good to see that they're having these realizations that their lived experiences matter, their insecurities that they're bringing into the relationship matter. And so it's just a whole different other intense dynamic with couples. A lot of the time they're having these thoughts for the first time, like they're making these connections like, oh, this happened in my childhood and I brought it into the relationship and like, I didn't know, they're just making these really big connections. They just both have to really want it. And they both have to want to give empathy to the other, which can be really difficult, especially when you're frustrated with your partner. It's hard for a lot of couples to move past that. But it's a slow process. I like to say, like, take your time, be gentle with yourself. Every day, you're not going to want to talk about heavy issues, and that's also okay. Just giving your partner that space and empathy, and that can go a long way in itself. If I see, especially I'm thinking of one client specifically who struggles with self-esteem and self-confidence, and so highlighting and assisting them and highlighting their strengths, whatever they are in whatever capacity, is a really great reminder, because a lot of the time we kind of have this, like, these glasses, like this fog, and we're so self-critical of ourselves, and just our expectations of who we are so high sometimes, and we forget, or they forget, how much they do. They minimize their accomplishments a lot. And so I like to guide them in, like, really thinking about what they bring to the table and all of the great strengths that they do have that they don't think about on the day-to-day. It's like the saying of treat yourself like a friend. When you realize that you're talking down on yourself or being self-critical, it's like, would you say that to a friend? You probably wouldn't. So don't say it to yourself. And it can go a long way. It's all about, I think, being intentional, because we all have negative thoughts, every single one of us. And so I think it's helpful to just catch, when you can, catch yourself and remember again what you have to offer. I think journaling is helpful, just like writing down some of your thoughts and getting them out of your head and onto paper. Also making a list of what you want, because I think it's helpful to see that, to kind of have that accountability for yourself, like that you can resort back to and like, okay, I wrote this down. This is something that I'm interested in, and let me see where it goes. It doesn't have to go anywhere, but I think, again, it's helpful to put it down on paper. Be curious about yourself. At the end of the day, it's like there's so many different things you can do and explore, but I think it all stems down to being serious about it and yourself. I don't want it to sound like it's like easy because it's not, but I think people owe it to themselves to just dive deeper into themselves. And it sounds really general, but a lot of people don't do it, and so they feel empty and unfulfilled. And it's because they don't really know themselves. They haven't done the inner work, and some of that inner work is healing, but yeah, there's just different ways to go about it, but it's helpful to question and to write things down, and I think that's the first step.